Well, I'm happy to go first if no one wants to go first. I think it was a fabulous presentation and it's inspirational. And thank you for a terrific presentation. So tell me a little bit about this. So how did you guys come up with this? It's a composter essentially. And I apologize for not completely getting it, but so it looks like it's a standalone composter that, tell me about the feedstock that goes in it and give me a little color on what exactly it is, how you would define it. And tell me about your background as to how you came up with the idea.
Okay, I'll speak first about how I came up with the idea, and then I believe Elliot can explain a little more about how the system itself works. So I was inspired after reading stuff about Biosphere 2 and their idea to create a system that could feed people. And I decided, why not make something smaller, more modular, more affordable that could be used to solve food insecurity. And I hope that answers your question.
Well, right, but so how did you come up? So did you take an existing product and enhance it, make it better, or did you just come up with this from scratch? Give us a little color.
Okay, well, the basic idea that I started with was we want something small that can regulate the environment within it. This will keep it separate from the external environment, and based at that point, nothing outside can affect the foods that is growing within. So it's like it's like a planter, except it's independent of its external environment. From there, I'm sorry.
And the only other part was feedstock. So tell me what you're putting in, and how do you grow all of these potatoes and veggies and stuff?
Okay. Elliot, do you want to take over, or do you want me to?
Sure, yeah. So it's a fully closed loop system. So what that means is, like, if you've ever seen a terrarium where essentially it's just a jar with the lid sealed and you have things growing inside of it. It's like a mini Earth essentially. So you put water in once, you put the seeds in, and the water will circulate. So you don't need to keep adding water to it. And in our system, it was important to set up a very consistent environment that, like Ariel said, is separated from the external environmental conditions. So what we did is you can actually regulate the temperature and the humidity. And so that way your internal environment is very consistent. So you can project yields into the future. So if you grow X, Y, and Z, you're going to know what yields you get because your internal environment conditions are consistent to the last time you did it. It's not like your harvest is going to change every year because your environmental conditions are changing. Since we can regulate the internal environmental conditions, you can actually create predictable yields and much greater efficiency because you can do the perfect temperatures, perfect humidities, and actually change those throughout the day where that benefits the plants the most. So we can really increase efficiency a lot with that. And it also gives us a huge resilience factor as compared to traditional farming methods that rely on, using the outdoors for the space considerations where they have a lot of variability in their environmental conditions.
Thank you.
I have a question regarding adoption. Have you considered adding someone from UML like social sciences to your team to talk about how this could be adopted? You're talking about perhaps putting another appliance in someone's garage, in someone's house, places where perhaps food insecurity is driven by some type of behavior. Would it benefit the team to add someone from a social science standpoint, so it's not just a tech play?
We are working on adding more business members to the team. As for social science, I believe that would be a useful perspective, and we are working, but however, we believe our community partners would be able to help us provide some of that perspective as well. So we plan to distribute interviews and surveys, surveys through our community partners, such as food pantries and other organizations seeking to solve food insecurity.
Right. Just one other comment. I was able to, in my career, travel around the world, and you've seen new appliances come into different countries based on needs, and so one of those in Korea is, they used to ferment kimchi outdoors, and now they have an appliance that all South Koreans have in their home. Same in China with indoor air quality. As an appliance, people have devices that improve the air quality. And even out in California here or in Colorado, there's been a lot of advances in cannabis production. So I'd ask you to consider looking at those industries where they've done this, but now you're talking about just normal food instead of cannabis or kimchi or air. Just an idea.
I just want to add to that as well. I definitely think that's a very interesting point. We think also that economics should be a huge driver of this, so that if the system makes sense economically, it'll just naturally come to the market and let the market forces work. So the idea is that our system is just so much cheaper and higher density and what you can fit inside of it that it could just completely take over that industry.
Great.
Hey, good job. Excellent presentation. A couple of quick questions. What is the footprint? If it was in your presentation, I missed it.
Do you mean like exactly what?
Ballpark,
okay, so I guess,
ballpark, what's the size of this device?
Oh, it's 12 inches by 12 inches by 30 inches per unit. Depending on the size of the person, you will use a different amount of units per person. So say you're really big, you're eating 4,000 calories a day, you might use 56 of these. But because of their small size, you would be able, and their modularity, it wouldn't be that big of a deal to fit them into your house. Like, I believe 56 units you can fit in a bedroom, and not even the whole bedroom, just a small part of it.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. I was trying to put into context how much yield it has and how much I eat. I have no idea. I've never really thought about it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Does it emit any, does it emit odors or does it emit oxygen? Since it's...
we were careful. So there's absolutely no toxic odors emitting from this. That was a major concern of ours. We were very worried about outgassing. You shouldn't smell anything chemically. You shouldn't smell anything earthy or humid at all. It's part of the no mess of the system, and no outgassing. It doesn't emit oxygen as of now, but I mean, typically I don't think oxygen is as much of an issue within a house.
No, I was just thinking, since it's consuming nitrogen, it might be releasing oxygen, so it's even healthier than you're saying, potentially, right? That's fantastic.
Well, it's actually closed loop, so none of the air inside leaves. So you have, that was a big concern of ours, was the outgassing inside the system. So if you had any plastics that were leaching, outgassing materials into the system. So if you can look at the photo on the page right there, the entire construction is aluminum. So, and we also use natural rubber gaskets, so that doesn't outgas anything harmful. So that since it's a very small closed system, you have to make sure that anything in that system isn't going to potentially leave harmful residue or outgassed materials into the plants that you're going to be eating.
Thank you.
What kind of lighting is on the lid? What kind of lighting would you use?
We're using fluorescent LEDs, and that's because we don't want to burn our plants within. Because it's so small, our plants are actually going to grow pretty close to the lid of the terrarium, which means that if we were to use a higher powered light, as some indoor growers do, which produce decent amounts of heat, we would actually burn the leaves of the plant.
And will you sell it turnkey with the soil and everything? Plug and play?
Turnkey? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar.
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. It'll be packaged with soil in it, so it's ready to plug in, add water, add seeds.
Yes, soil, seeds, all of that was factored into the system's cost.
Okay, thank you. Good job and good luck.
So Ariel, the reference to turnkey is you have everything you have to just turn it on. Turn the key. Well, I think we're at time. So team, thank you so much. Great job on the presentation. And if you can disconnect, let the judges do their judging, and have a great night.